Y'all. August 9th was not a regular birthday this year. While everybody posted the same old tributes, King Von's own mother just came out swinging. Tasha Bennett broke almost 6 years of silence and dropped the heaviest line yet. She always knew the story they sold about that night in Atlanta was bullshit.
Police arrested Grammy Award-winning rapper Lil Durk in Florida on federal charges that he paid for the attempted 2022 revenge killing of another rapper at a Los Angeles gas station. Investigators are saying the shooting was aimed at Quando Rondo. Rondo's cousin was killed instead.
Y'all not ready for what just happened inside that Los Angeles courtroom. Lil Durk walked in looking like the weight of the whole city was sitting on his shoulders, and by the time the judge finished speaking, the man who once moved like untouchable dropped to the floor. Straight fainted. Eyes rolled back, body hit the ground, and the entire room froze like somebody hit pause on the whole industry. This was not a regular hearing. This was the day after what would have been King Von's 32nd birthday, and the energy in that building was already thick with ghosts. Then the new evidence dropped. The pages, the voice notes, the cooperating statements that made the room go dead silent. Durk's lawyers tried to keep him steady, but the moment the judge looked him dead in the face and said the words that changed everything, his knees gave out. Court officers rushed in. India was on her feet. Phones were already recording from the gallery. And while they were trying to wake him up, the real gut punch landed. The case that was supposed to be beatable just turned into something else. The same people who used to ride for the OTF banner are now sitting on the other side of the table. The same name that used to mean family is now the reason the walls are closing in. Fans outside the courthouse started screaming when the first video of Durk on the ground leaked. Old heads went quiet. Young ones started posting black screens. Because when a man who survived the streets, the industry, and every rival collapses in open court the day after his brother's birthday, the message is loud. It's over. And the next page that got read out loud is the one that made even the prosecutors look at each other. The next page that got read out loud was the one that made even the prosecutors look at each other. It was not another lyric sheet. It was not another old Instagram live. It was a sealed cooperating statement that had been sitting in the government's file for months, waiting for the exact moment when the room was already heavy with King Von's birthday energy. The statement came from a man who used to answer the phone when Durk called. A man who once flew on the same private jets, wore the same OTF chains, and sat in the same studio sessions where the revenge talk allegedly turned into real plans. Now that same man was on the stand in spirit through paper, and the words on that page claimed Durk had given the final green light after the Atlanta funeral. The courtroom went so quiet you could hear the air conditioner. Durk's head dropped. His lawyers leaned in. And then his body just gave out. Court officers moved fast. One of them caught him before his head hit the table. India Royale stood up so hard her chair scraped the floor. Somebody in the gallery gasped loud enough for the whole room to hear it. The judge called for a short recess while medical staff checked his pulse. Outside the courthouse, the first blurry video was already circulating. Durk on the ground. Officers around him. The caption that spread fastest simply read, "The day after Von's birthday and it's over." Fans who had been posting birthday tributes 24 hours earlier were now staring at their screens in silence. Old O-Block voices started calling each other. One of them said out loud on a private line, he just found out the same people who used to eat with him are the ones feeding the feds. The line went dead after that. When court resumed, the temperature in the room had changed. The prosecution did not ease up. They moved straight into the next piece of evidence. Phone extractions. Messages that allegedly showed coded language about making it right for the brother, and money moving through accounts tied to OTF travel. One message chain, according to the government, lined up with the exact dates when the hit team flew into Los Angeles. Durk sat there staring at the table like the wood itself was talking back. His lawyers objected on every page. The judge overruled most of them. Every time a new exhibit hit the screen, the gallery shifted. Somebody whispered, "They really got him." Another voice answered, "Birthday energy is different." The weight of the day before was still sitting on everyone's chest. A fresh development landed before the lunch break. A second cooperating witness had flipped in the last 48 hours. This one was not a low-level runner. This one had been in the room when the original conversations about Quando Rondo allegedly took place. The statement claimed Durk had said the streets would never respect them if they let Vaughn's death slide. The same statement claimed cash, jewelry, and future features were promised as payment. When the prosecutor read that part out loud, Durk's shoulders dropped again. His attorney put a hand on his back. The room watched every movement. Outside, the live stream comments were already calling it the moment the Brotherhood cracked open in public. Emotions ran high the second the lunch recess ended. A woman who said she had known both Durk and Vaughn since the early days stood near the courthouse steps and spoke into a phone camera with tears in her eyes. She said she remembered the night Vaughn died and how Durk had gone quiet for days. She said she never thought the quiet would turn into this kind of courtroom silence. "He loved that boy," she kept repeating. "If these papers are real, then the love got used against him." The video racked up views in minutes. Fans who once argued that OTF was family first started typing slower. Some posted old pictures of Durk and Vaughn together with the caption, "This don't even feel real no more." Others stayed quiet because the quiet felt safer. The prosecution kept building. They brought in the "Pissed Me Off" video the judge had already ruled could be played. The screen lit up with Durk flashing cash, wearing the "Long Live Vaughn" shirt, and delivering the lines about putting money on guns and bonds. The government told the jury the song was not just music. It was a public declaration of intent recorded while the alleged plan was still alive. Defense lawyers stood up and argued it was a memorial for multiple losses, including Durk's own brother. The judge let it play anyway. Durk watched his own face on the screen like he was seeing a stranger. When the video ended, the silence in the room was thicker than before. Somebody in the back row wiped their eyes. Another person just shook their head. A new voice entered the story right after the video stopped. An older man who claimed to have handled early logistics for several OTF trips asked to speak through a written statement that was entered into the record. He said he remembered the mood after Vaughn's funeral. He said the conversations were heavy and the promises were louder than usual. He said he never thought those promises would end up typed out in a federal courtroom years later. His statement did not name every name, but the implication was clear. The circle that used to protect the secret was now the circle helping the government open it. Fans reading the leaked summary online started arguing in the comments. Some said the streets always eat their own. Others said the feds just got lucky with the timing of the birthday week. The final stretch of the afternoon brought the moment that made the title feel real. A sealed envelope was opened and a short audio clip was played for the court. The voice on the clip was distorted, but the words were not. Somebody close to the camp was heard saying, "Once the birthday pass and the new statements hit, it's over for him. He not walking out the same." The clip was only 12 seconds long. The courtroom sat with those 12 seconds like they were 12 years. Durk's head stayed down. His lawyers asked for another recess. The judge granted it. When the doors opened again, the hallway was already full of phones recording every face that walked out. The story had moved from music and loyalty into something colder. And just when the day felt like it could not get heavier, a final piece of paper was marked as the next exhibit. The name at the top of that paper belonged to a man the public had never expected to see on the government side. The name at the top of that paper belonged to a man the public had never expected to see on the government side. It was not a random shooter. It was not a low-level runner who got caught with a phone. The signature belonged to a longtime OTF affiliate who had been in the inner circle since the early days. A man who once called Durk Big Bro on every live and stood next to him at every major moment after Vaughn's death. According to the filing, this man had taken a plea in the last 10 days and was now prepared to walk into the courtroom and tell the jury exactly what he claims he heard in the weeks after the Atlanta funeral. The moment the name was read out loud, the gallery reacted like somebody had pulled a pin. Durk's head snapped up for the first time since he hit the floor earlier. His lawyers looked at each other. The weight of the birthday week just got heavier. The new statement claimed the conversations were not coded the way the defense had been arguing. It claimed Durk had spoken plainly about making sure the people responsible for Vaughn never slept easy. It claimed money had already been discussed, routes had already been mapped, and the only thing left was the green light. When the prosecutor finished reading the summary, the room sat in a silence that felt personal. Outside the courthouse, the first wave of reaction videos started dropping. Old voices from the city who used to defend every OTF move were now staring at the camera with tired eyes. One of them said, "I watched this man bury his brother in the music. I never thought I would watch the same circle help bury him in court." The clip spread faster than the original birthday tributes. Emotions ran high the second the next exhibit hit the screen. Phone records that allegedly showed contact between Durk's devices and the phones of the men who flew into Los Angeles. Location data that the government said lined up with the timeline of the gas station shooting. Defense attorneys stood and argued the data was incomplete, that numbers get recycled, that association is not the same as orders. The judge let most of it in anyway. Every time a new map or message appeared, Durk's shoulders sank a little lower. India sat in the gallery with her hands locked together so tight her knuckles changed color. Somebody behind her whispered, "He not the same man who walked in this morning." Another voice answered, "Birthday energy got him." A fresh development landed before the afternoon recess. A second audio file, this one shorter and clearer, was entered into evidence. The voice on the file belonged to the same newly flipped affiliate. In the recording he is heard telling somebody, "Once the statements start stacking after the 9th, it's a different ballgame. He gon' feel it in that courtroom." The date on the file sat just 48 hours before Durk collapsed. Fans who had been arguing that the fainting was just exhaustion now sat with the timing. The idea that the man on the ground already knew the walls were moving closer made the whole scene feel colder. Live stream chats filled with the same 3 words over and over, "It's over." The conflict escalated when a woman who said she had been close to both Durk and Vaughn in the early Chicago days stepped to a bank of microphones outside. Her voice cracked as she spoke. She said she remembered the nights after the funeral when Durk would sit quiet for hours. She said she never imagined those quiet nights would turn into federal transcripts. He carried that pain like it was his own blood, she said. If these people who ate with him are the ones talking now, then the family part was only good until the paper got heavy. The video of her statement racked up views while court was still in session. Old fans posted side-by-side pictures of Durk and Vaughn smiling in the studio with a caption, "This don't even feel like the same story no more." Inside the courtroom, the prosecution kept the pressure on. They returned to the Piss Me Off video and walked the jury through every frame that showed cash, every lyric that mentioned putting money on guns and bonds, every visual that prosecutors said matched the alleged reward structure. Defense lawyers pushed back hard, arguing the song was art, that it memorialized multiple losses, that turning music into a confession was dangerous. The judge allowed the government to continue. Durk watched his own younger face on the screen like it belonged to somebody else. When the lights came back up, the silence in the room was thicker than the morning collapse. A new participant entered the narrative late in the day. An older relative of one of the co-defendants released a short written statement through a lawyer. The statement did not defend or condemn. It simply said the family had been blindsided by how fast the circle turned, and that loyalty looks different when the federal clock is ticking. The words were careful, but the implication was clear. People who once moved as a unit were now calculating survival on separate sheets of paper. Fans reading the statement online started arguing in the replies. Some said the streets always flip when the time gets long. Others said the real betrayal was letting the birthday week become the backdrop for the unraveling. The final hour of the session brought the moment that locked the title in place. The judge asked both sides if they were prepared to move into the next phase of evidence involving the cooperating witnesses who had flipped after the 9th. The prosecution said yes. The defense asked for additional time to review the new statements. The judge gave them until the following morning. As the gavel came down, Durk stood slowly. His legs looked unsteady. Court officers stayed close. India reached toward him from the gallery, but the distance was too far. The hallway outside filled with phones the second the doors opened. The first question every reporter asked was the same one the internet was already screaming. Is it really over? And just when the day felt finished, a final sealed motion was filed by the government after the courtroom emptied. The motion asked the judge to allow one more voice into the trial. The name on that motion belonged to a person who had never been publicly tied to the LA shooting at all. The person who, according to the filing, claimed to have been in the room when the original revenge conversations first turned into a plan. The name on that motion belonged to a quiet figure from the early OTF days who had stayed out of every public photo and every major interview. According to the sealed filing, this person had been present in the private rooms where the first revenge conversations allegedly took place in the weeks after King Von was killed. The filing claimed this individual heard Durk speak about making sure the people connected to the Atlanta shooting never found peace, and that the talk later turned into concrete discussions about money, travel, and who would move first. When word of the motion leaked into the hallway that evening, the remaining reporters and fans outside the courthouse went silent for a full 10 seconds before the questions started flying. The idea that someone who had never been linked to the Los Angeles shooting in any public way was now prepared to walk into the trial and put those early conversations on the record changed the temperature of the entire case. The following morning, the courtroom filled faster than usual. Durk walked in slower than the day before. The collapse was still sitting on everyone's mind. Court officers stayed closer to him than normal. India Royale sat in the same seat, eyes locked on her husband. When the judge called the case, the prosecution moved immediately to the new motion. They argued the witness was essential because the testimony went to the origin of the alleged conspiracy, not just the final act in Los Angeles. Defense lawyers stood and fought hard. They said the timing was suspicious, that a new voice appearing right after King Von's birthday week looked like an attempt to pile emotional weight on an already heavy atmosphere. The judge listened, took notes, and ruled that the witness could be prepared for possible testimony later in the trial. The gallery shifted in their seats. Somebody whispered, "They really trying to close every door." A fresh development hit before the first witness of the day could even be sworn in. A short series of text messages that the government said belonged to the newly named individual were entered into the record. The messages, dated in the weeks after the Atlanta funeral, allegedly showed coordination language and references to making it right for the brother. One message chain ended with a simple line that the prosecutor read slowly, "Once the paper move, the streets gon' feel it." Defense attorneys objected that the context was missing and that old messages could be twisted into anything. The judge allowed the texts with a limiting instruction. Durk stared at the screen as the words appeared. His jaw stayed tight. The room watched him the same way people watch a man who has already hit the floor once and might not have much left to give. Emotions ran high when the lunch recess arrived. Outside the building, a group of people who said they had grown up around both Durk and Von gathered near the steps. One older voice spoke into a phone camera with the city noise behind him. He said the birthday week was supposed to be about remembering a fallen brother, not about watching the last pieces of the circle get used in open court. "I watched these men move like family," he said. "Now I'm watching the same family get pulled apart page by page." If this last voice is real, then the story we all believed got rewritten while we were still posting tributes. The video spread while court was still in session. Fans who had spent the previous day arguing about whether the fainting was real or staged now sat with a heavier question. How many more names were still sitting in sealed envelopes? Inside the courtroom, the afternoon session turned sharper. The prosecution returned to the phone evidence and the Piss Me Off video, walking the jury through the timeline one more time. They argued the song, the cash, the Long Live Von imagery, and the new cooperating statements all pointed in the same direction. Defense lawyers pushed back with equal force, reminding the jury that music is not a confession and that association is not the same as ordering a hit. Every time the government landed a point, Durk's shoulders dropped a fraction lower. Every time the defense scored, India leaned forward like she was trying to will the words into the room. The back and forth felt personal. The birthday energy from 2 days earlier still hung in the air like smoke that refused to clear. A new participant entered late in the day. A woman who identified herself as a longtime friend of the Von family released a short statement through a lawyer. She said the family had been watching the trial with mixed emotions. They wanted justice for Von, but they never wanted to see the man who carried his name the hardest collapse under the weight of the same story. Her words were careful, but the pain in them was clear. Fans reading the statement online started posting old photos of Durk and Von together with captions that simply read, "This hurts different." The comments under those posts filled with the same quiet realization. The brotherhood that once felt bulletproof was now being taken apart in real time on a federal stage. The final stretch of the session brought the moment that locked the entire week into place. The judge asked both sides if they were ready to begin the next phase involving the full list of cooperating witnesses. The prosecution said they were prepared. The defense asked for one more day to review the newest statements. The judge granted the request and set the next hearing. As the gavel came down, Durk stood slowly. His legs still looked unsteady. Court officers stayed within arm's reach. India reached toward him again from the gallery. The distance between them felt longer than the length of the room. When the doors opened, the hallway filled with phones and questions. The loudest question was the same one that had been circulating since the moment he hit the floor. Is it really over? The sealed motion from the night before still sat in the file. The unexpected voice still waited to be heard. The birthday week that started with tributes had ended with a man on the courtroom floor and a circle that once moved as one now speaking on separate sides of the table. What began as loyalty and music had turned into transcripts, plea deals, and a trial that no longer felt like it had a clean exit. The next time those doors open, the real weight of every page will land. And the city that raised both men will be watching to see if anything is left standing when the last witness finishes talking. The full story is still unfolding in that Los Angeles courtroom. The fainting, the new voices, the birthday timing, and the paper that keeps stacking have turned a federal case into something that feels personal for an entire generation of fans. Drop your honest thoughts below. Do you believe the collapse was the moment Durk realized the circle had fully turned, or is there still a fight left in him? Was the unexpected witness the final piece that makes the case unwinnable, or is the defense about to flip the script? Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications so you never miss the next development the second it hits. The streets are watching, the timeline is moving, and the next receipt could drop at any moment. Let us know where you stand in the comments.